Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today, of course, is Friday, um, March the 20th, 2026. So, of course, as usual, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Hopefully, everybody's all set for the weekend, got some good plans. Um, so of course today I had a chance to watch the last of the cartoons from March of 19 well the short from March of 1947, including probably one of the few times I actually got a chance to watch a Speaking of Animals short. They're not so dumb. Of course, with some of the voice talent of the time, you know, including Joan Foray, Pat McGee, and a couple others there, providing the voices for the animals in the short. Um, yeah, look at we have three people in here now. So friendly reminder, of course, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. I'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, also, let's see now. Do I want to get right into? Well, we're at the 2 minute mark, a little early for, so I did want to. Let's see, what else can I talk about real quick here? Let's see now. Well, yeah, I hope you guys been enjoying some of the stuff I've been doing recently in terms of looking at some of the cartoon profiles and stuff like that, looking back on some of the classics there. That's always fun stuff to go back and look at, especially when the news cycle is being a little slow. I was just thinking the other day how Avi hasn't actually done any articles in a while here. So now, from what I understand, he lives over in Israel, so it might be that he's just not able to do them because of all the stuff going on over there right now. But as we now come upon 3 minutes, of course. All right, so here's what's on tap for tonight. So I've got a couple articles from MeTV Tunes coming up tonight. One of them talking about a show that they're adding to their lineup, of course, the Super Mario show, the one from back in the late '80s, early '90s, that of course uh, featured Captain Lou Albano as Mario. So that one, um, we'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, with the new live action Scooby Doo movie coming out, now they've got some Mystery Inc. That now I guess they're making the full announcement of the full cast, and so we'll be looking at that as well. So, anyways, with all that being said, and now we're coming up on 4 minutes here, so why don't we go ahead and get started then? Let me. And bring up the material here. Alrighty then. So there we go. So of course the first articles are going to be the first article we're going to go over is the one at the far here, the far left here. Now I kind of caught some of this towards the it's from the late '80s there. Um, so the Super Mario Brothers Super Show is coming to MeTV Tunes. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Article published back on March 16th, so actually this past Monday, by Me TV Toon staff. So let's see what's going on here. All right, so hey paisanos, you're in for a treat. So hang on to your seat. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show is coming to Me TV Toons on March 30th. The 1989 cartoon included live-action segments starring Danny Wells as Luigi and WWE legend Captain Lou Albano as Mario. As I mentioned earlier. While other cartoons had featured live-action segments before, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was unique in that its live-action segments were written to emulate late 80s sitcoms. Captain Lou Albano wasn't the only one providing star power to the show. Lots of celebrity guests wanted a piece of the Mushroom Kingdom. Guest stars included Cyndi Lauper. Of course, Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou had history together. As everybody knows, they were part of the rock and wrestling stuff from back in the mid 80s that basically helped launch what was at the time known as the World Wrestling Federation into a national product, basically. Let's see. Magic Johnson, Vanna White, and more. The show's real star power came from its all-star cast of voice actors for both the Mario and Legend of Zelda cartoons. Jeannie Elias voiced Princess Toadstool, and she later went on to voice lead characters in cartoons like As Told by Ginger, Tootenstein, Quack Pack, Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, My Little Pony, Tasmanus, and more. Toad's voice actor, John Stalker, starred in cartoons like The Adventures of Teddy Ruxpin, The Busy World of Richard Scarry, The Care Bears, Cops, Babar, Adventure of Sonic Hedgehog, and more. And John Stalker, of course, was also involved in the deep dub of Sailor Moon, and would also lend his voice to some of the early 90s cartoons like X-Men the animated series. We are so excited to share this super fun cartoon with you. Catch the Super Mario Brothers Super Show on MeTV Toons weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 a.m. Pacific, starting on March 30th, which will be 1 week from this coming Monday. So about 10 days from now. Watch the Super Mario Brothers Super Show on MeTV Toons weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. And I'll be... we got another story that was added to... So I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back. But I'll put some music on to entertain you guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, anyways, looks like we had another Scooby Doo that they just added since I chose the story earlier. So, anyways, let's get ready to move on to the next story here. Again, friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said, of course, Mystery Inc. assembles as Netflix announces the cast of new Scooby-Doo series. Fred, Velma, and Shaggy have been cast too. I think they did announce Daphne's casting like a week or so ago. Article published March 19th, yesterday, by MeTV2 and staff. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. Zoinks! We have more Scooby-Doo news. The last update we shared was that McKenna Grace had been cast as Daphne in the upcoming live-action series. Now Netflix has announced the rest of Mystery Inc. with Abby Ryder Fortson as Velma, Maxwell Jenkins as Fred, and Tanner Hagen as Shaggy. Fortson is best known for a starring role as Margaret in the 2023 movie Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. In addition to noteworthy roles in The Pit and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Fortson has worked in animation as a voice actor on shows such as Trolls, The Beat Goes On, DuckTales, and Trollstopia. So I'm imagining these are more modern versions of these shows, obviously. Fortson shared her excitement about playing Velma on Instagram, writing, "Jinkies! Excited to go solve some mysteries with the gang. So honored to be the next to wear the iconic turtleneck." Jenkins is the most seasoned television actor in the group, having appeared on shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Sense8, and eventually starring in shows like Lost in Space and Dear Edward. In 2019, Jenkins was recognized by The Hollywood Reporter as one of the top 30 top actors under 30. In addition to acting, Jenkins has been performing in the Midnight Circus since he was 3 years old and still performs as an acrobat with the company. In his statement on Instagram, he included a childhood picture of himself in a Scooby-Doo shirt with his dog, who he referred to as my OG Scoob. Like Fortson, Hagen also appeared on The Pit, but this Shaggy is a triple threat with a background that incorporates singing, dancing, and acting. He earned several national and regional titles in competitive dancing, and he also performed in the vocal group Future Pop from 2019 to 2023. Hagen's background has us wondering if this means we will see Shaggy joining the Hex Girls on stage in this new series. Regarding this casting announcement, Hagen excitedly shared, "Zoinks! Like, is this even life? So incredibly grateful to be stepping into the shoes of the iconic Shaggy Rogers in the upcoming Netflix live-action series." The new series, which features the origins of the gang meeting at summer camp, will also feature original Scooby-Doo Where Are You cast member Frank Welker as the voice of Scooby-Doo. What do you think? Are you excited about how this new series is shaping up, or would you prefer to stick to the original cartoons? Watch Scooby Doo on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central, 2 Pacific, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. There we go with that one. Ready then? So now, let's get ready to move on to the last story here. I guess that's on here. And it's another Scooby Doo. Why is Scooby Doo a Great Dane? Now, for those of you who are ever wondering that, didn't necessarily crop my mind. Actually, for me, for most of the time, most years, I didn't even know because I don't necessarily know the difference between different types of dogs and stuff like that. But wasn't until later in life that I found that I kind of realized or had found out that he was a Great Dane. But Scooby was almost a sheepdog. This article published, of course, March 20th, 2026. This was just published just within the last, I'd say, 15 minutes or so, because this was published, I think, just before we got started tonight. So, anyways, with that being said, let's get into this one. Have you ever wondered why Scooby Doo is a Great Dane and not a Beagle like Snoopy, or Basset Hound like Droopy, or even a Mutt like Muttley? Why was a Great Dane chosen to become one of the most popular cartoon canines of all time? It all started when Fred Silverman, a CBS executive, in parentheses, and friend of Hanna-Barbera, wanted a teen comedy cartoon similar to the Archie comics, and Joe Barbera wanted a cartoon like House of Mystery. They tasked writers Joe Ruby and Ken Spears and character designer Iwao Takamoto with bringing the mashup vision to life. Barbera also mentioned that Silverman liked dogs, so this mashup needed a fun dog in the mix. What was it? What was Reggie? Oh, Wappy. Scooby being a Great Dane was the first thing I knew about him. Hey there, Metal. Thanks for popping in. Anyways, continuing on here. Like the Flintstones and other legendary cartoons, Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Went through major changes during development, and many of the changes revolved around Scooby himself. It had other titles such as Mysteries 5 and Who's Scared? Mystery Inc. was originally intended to be a rock band that happened to solve mysteries while on the road with their bongo playing dog Too Much. Well, eventually you would get that idea too. The rock band solving mysteries as well. That came with Josie and the Pussycats. So you know, the three went back and forth on whether the dog in the show should be a large cowardly dog or a small feisty one. And again, they did get their small feisty one later with Scrappy. Ultimately, they went with the large and cowardly, and the initial character designs for the small, feisty dog later evolved into Scrappy Doo. Originally, Scooby Doo's name was Too Much, and they considered making Too Much a Great Dane, but then changed him into a sheepdog out of fear of copyright of copying Marmaduke. A sheepdog seemed like it could be a popular choice, especially because Archie's dog was a sheepdog. Joe Barbera and Fred Silverman rejected the sheepdog and encouraged them to return to the Great Dane. Hmm. Hmm. In the DVD featurette, The Eerie History of Scooby Doo, Iwao Takamoto um, recalled that the trio wanted a big, goofy dog, and the Great Dane was considered the biggest dog breed. Unbeknownst to the Scooby Doo creators, one of their co-workers at Hanna-Barbera was a Great Dane expert. Takamoto recalled, quote, "There was a woman that actually bred and reared Great Danes, so she came over and spent a solid hour describing all the positive things about what makes a prize-winning Great Dane, quote unquote." After listening to their in-house Great Dane expert, Takamoto took the qualities she described and went in the opposite direction. The show didn't need a perfect show dog, but a silly dog who could match Shaggy's energy in both gluttony and cowardice. He gave Scooby bowed legs, a sloped back, a double chin, um, and heavy eyebrows, all of which built not exactly a blue ribbon winning Great Dane, but a perfectly goofy and lovable Scooby. Watch Scooby Doo on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central, 2 Pacific, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. All right, so let's see. Where are we at now here, time wise? 26 minutes. All right, well, let's see. Well, why don't we talk a little? Let's talk a little bit. Oh, okay. I've cared for Great Danes before. Lost one was Last one was a friend's dog named Murphy. Uh, Danes aren't just big, but they are loud. They also love going on runs instead of walks, which I find fun. Well, yeah, I would think that. I mean, if Great Danes are as big as they were portrayed on Scooby Doo, I would imagine there'd be a lot of a lot of um, energy packed in that frame. Probably had to be careful with them too, because they are probably so big. Probably knock you over. They jump on you too, right? uh, all right. Well, since we did talk a little bit about the Super Mario Brothers Super Mario Super Show premiering on MeTV Tunes earlier, why don't we go ahead and look back at the history of the Super Mario Super Show? They talk a little bit about how that all came to be. Not a lot of energy, really. They tend to get it out of their system and then just lie around the rest of the day. Hmm. Now, earlier, and I don't know if you were here when I was talking about this, when I read the earlier article on MeTV Tunes, but Super Mario Brothers Super Show will be making its MeTV premiere on Monday, March 30th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 a.m. Pacific. So, just in case you missed that earlier. So, that's why we're going to at least take a few moments to um, look back at the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. So, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show is is an American live action animated television series that aired originally, of course, from September 4th to December 1st, 1989, in syndication. The series is based on the video games Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2 by Nintendo, and is the first of three television series to be based upon the Mario video game franchise. The animation was provided by South Korean company Young Animation. Each episode consists of live action segments starring WWE Hall of Fame wrestler manager Captain Lou Albano as Mario and Danny Wells as Luigi, alongside a special guest either as themselves or a character for the segments. The remainder of the program is dedicated to animated stories of Super Mario Brothers, starring the voices of Albano and Wells in their respective roles, which were exhibited Monday through Thursday. The Friday episode of Super Mario Brothers Super Show was instead accompanied by animated serials based on Nintendo's Legend of Zelda video game series. A sequel series based on Super Mario Bros. 3 aired the following year, followed by another show based on Super Mario World the year after that. So the premise here. Like you had some things to say there. Let's see what's going on here. I saw that the Super Show will be on MeTV yesterday on a Twitter post. Doesn't matter to me though. I have the entire series. I've probably watched it through about a dozen times. It's a particularly big influence on me as an artist. Oh, that's good to know. Huh. So here's the premise of Super Mario Bros. Super Show. The Super Mario Bros. Super Show revolves around Mario and Luigi, two Italian American plumbers from Brooklyn. The live action segments, a parody of contemporary sitcoms, are set in Brooklyn and deal with the peculiarities of running a plumbing business in the late 1980s. The Super Mario Bros. Animated segments feature Mario and Luigi after they accidentally warp into the Mushroom Kingdom uh, while fixing a bathtub drain. Each episode begins with Mario reciting an entry into his quote unquote plumber's log, then teaming up with Luigi to assist Princess Toadstool and Toad in preventing King Koopa from taking over the kingdom with a sinister plot, generally one parodying a book, film, or historical event. Each episode's plot features characters and situations based upon the NES games Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 2, as well as several sound effects and musical cues from both games. Despite being based on the games, some episodes feature inconsistencies between the series and the video games. For example, in the animated series, Mario receives firepower from a superstar, whereas the star grants temporary invincibility in the game, and the fire flower granting pyrokinesis. The Legend of Zelda animated segments follow the adventures of the hero Link and Princess Zelda as they defend the kingdom of Hyrule from Ganon, who has somehow come into possession of the Triforce of Power. Most episodes consist of Ganon or his minions, in parentheses there, either attempting to capture the Triforce of Wisdom from Zelda, kidnap Zelda, or conquer Hyrule. In some episodes, Link and Zelda are assisted and accompanied by a fairy princess named Sprite, who dislikes Zelda as she considers her to be a competitor for Link's affections. Throughout the series, Link is a moaning, self-centered teenager who repeatedly fails to convince Zelda that he deserves a kiss for his heroic deeds. Although Zelda is sometimes the damsel in distress, she is a headstrong, self-sufficient princess who is Link's equal. Link frequently meets Zelda's angry remarks with his sarcastic catchphrase, "Well, excuse me, princess." Let's see. Okay. My favorite bit from the series was that it was Luigi's um, scaredy cat personality came from and he was always coming up with excuses to do dangerous stuff. But Mario, I'm allergic to mountains, or I can't, I'm pregnant. uh Anyways, that's some interesting stuff. So let's take a quick peek at who did some of the animated voices here. Um, you know, and then after that we'll get into the wrestling wrap up. So the cast, of course, included, of course, Lil Albano and Danny Wells as Mario and Luigi, both live action and animated in the, of course, in the Super Mario Brothers animated segments. Had Jeannie Elias providing the voice of Princess Toadstool, John Stalker and John Stalker providing the voice of Toad, Harvey Atkin providing the voice of King Koopa. of course, which would lend you to believe that the animated segments were recorded up in Canada, probably because Stalker and Atkin are, I think, from Canada, and you'd see even more here. So in the Legend of Zelda animated segments, it included, of course, Link as Jonathan Potts, um, Cindy Preston doing the voice of Zelda, Len Carlson doing the voice of Ganon, who back in Len Carlson was also who provided the voice of Loki back in the 1966 Mighty Thor segments of Grant Wade Lawrence's The Marvel Superhero Show. Pauline Gillis as Sprite, Colin Fox as King Hurricaneon, Elizabeth Hanna as the Triforce of Wisdom, Alan Stewart Coates as Triforce of Powers, and of course they had quite a number of well-known guest voice actor in there. So, anyways, we're coming up on 40 minutes now, so I think that's enough of that for now. We'll get ready to move on to the next portion of the show, which is the wrestling wrap-up. As soon as it comes up, hopefully. Oh boy, what in the world happened here? All right, there we go. But anyways, let's try this one more time here. Okay, King Koopa also had a short-lived, almost horrifying live-action spin-off called King Koopa's Cool Cartoons. It wasn't very good. All right. Oh, it looks like they finally did. All right. So with all that being said, so let's now get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up by looking back, of course, to last night's wrestling action. Of course, on last night's main event, WWE main event, coming from the Front Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas, had Apollo Crews and Matt Cardona defeat the tag team of Fraxium of Axiom and Nathan Frazier in just under 6 minutes, and Grayson Waller defeated Shallow Hill in a singles match as well. What's happening on now? Moving on to, of course, Thursday Night Impact. On last night's Thursday Night Impact, coming from the Gateway Center Arena at College Park in College Park, Georgia, the opening match saw the Hometown Man defeat Frankie Kazarian in 6 minutes 15 seconds. In in his first in-ring action since debuting in TNA, Mr. Elegance defeated 76-year-old Mike Jackson. That's right. I said that right, folks. 76-year-old Mike Jackson, still going strong. You heard me talk about him last night when I was talking about. So Mr. Elegance, a part of the Elegance brand, with of course Heather and M by Elegance, and the personal concierge in their corner, defeated 76-year-old Mike Jackson, who's still going strong. I've seen this guy wrestle the last few years. Now, Mike Jackson's career goes all the way back to the 70s. He's been wrestling often. He did retire in the 2010s, but in the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, came back and started making sporadic appearances. Because I remember seeing him TNA, or not TNA, but NWA, like about 3 or 4 years ago. So, but this guy's 76. For a guy who's 76, he looks very good. I'll put it that way. Looked very fit. You would, if you saw this guy, you would think that he was not 76. But that's just. So then after that match, you had in Knockouts tag team action, you had Knockout World Champion Ariana Grace and Danny Luna. Danny Luna, who is who has a title shot due her, defeated the Angel Warriors of Zaya Brookside and Lady Lee in 11 minutes 37 seconds. Moose took down another member of the System, his former stable, by defeating Brian Myers. Of course, Moose had Alicia Edwards in his corner, and this match lasted only 12 seconds. Elena Black defeated Jada Stone in just over 4 minutes. And then in the main event saw the Nemeth brothers of Nick and Ryan Nemeth defeat the Righteous, Dutch and Vincent, in the main event of the show. So anyways, as we get ready to continue on from there. So now let's look at what happened on last night's Ring of Honor Club, which took place at the WJCT Studios in Jacksonville, Florida, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Opening match saw Deonna Purrazzo retain the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship over Billy Starks in just under 8 minutes. Mark Davis defeated Angelico. Jordan Oliver and Alec Price defeated the Dark Order duo of Alex Reynolds and Evil Uno. Robin Renegade defeated Rachel Ellering in just over 5 minutes in a women's singles match. Big Bill defeated Logan Cruz in 1:46. In a women's tag team match, the Infantry's Christian Exo and Trish Adora defeated Dream Girl Early and Kelsey Reagan in 2 minutes 22 seconds. In mixed 6-man tag action, the grizzled young veterans of James Drake and Zach Gibson teamed with Isla Dawn to defeat the team of OXP, Rosario Grillo, and Valentino Rossi. Diamante defeated Hyena Hera, 2 minutes 7 seconds. The Lethal Twist of Jay Lethal and the Swirls, Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, defeated the Superstars of Nikki 8, Tommy Mars, and Jimmy Wild. The main event saw Nick Wayne successfully defend the Ring of Honor World Television title over Commander in 13 minutes and 48 seconds. All right, so now looking ahead to, of course, tonight's SmackDown. On tonight's SmackDown, as they continue to build towards WrestleMania on the weekend of the 18th and 19th, coming up in about another month, I'd say, or so. So scheduled for tonight, tomorrow night SmackDown from the Lenovo Center in Raleigh, North Carolina, and airing on USA, as they're back, I believe, on the USA Network now. Um, already signed for tomorrow night or for tonight. Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley will be taking on Fraxium of Axiom and Nathan Frazier. In a women's tag team title match, the Irresistible Forces of Nia Jax and Lash Legend will be defending against the Bella Twins of Brie and Nikki Bella. Drew McIntyre is set to take on Jacob Fatu, and the MFTs of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga are defending the WWE Tag Team titles against Damian Priest and R-Truth. So that's what's going down on tonight's SmackDown. Now look over what's going on over the weekend here on AEW. As of course they got two collisions they're going to be doing this weekend. One of which is Slam Dunk Saturday, which will air tomorrow on TNT. On tomorrow's Slam Dunk Saturday, for the collision episode for Kyle Fletcher is set to defend the TNT title against Robbie Eagles of the Mighty Don't Kneel faction over in New Japan. In six-man tag action, Los Faction Ingobernables of Jalisco Rouge and Beast Mortos will be taking on the trio of Dom Kubrick, Lucas Riley, and Alpha Zoe. In women's tag team action, the Sisters of Sin of Sky Blue and Julia Hart will be taking on the Brawling Birds of Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. Another tag team match, the Death Riders duo of Claudio Castagnoli and Daniel Garcia will be set to take on the Lucha team of Mascara Dorada and Commander. And also, that show will be coming from the Save Mart Center at Fresno State in Fresno, California. They're also going to have a Sunday edition of Collision called Slam Dunk Sunday. So let's see what they might have already set up for that. As Tommaso Ciampa will be taking on Leo Rush in singles action. The Lethal Twist duo of Jay Lethal and Lee Johnson will be set to take on Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. In a non-title match, you have the team that's World Tag Team, the AEW Women's World Tag Divine Dominion of Megan Bayne and Lena Cross taking on the team of Alex Gracia, and Vipress. And in a match for the AEW World Trios titles, team of Jet Speed and Mystico, Speedball Mike Bailey and the Jet Kevin Knight and Mystico will be defending the titles against the Don Callis family members of Josh Alexander, El Clone, and Konosuke Takeshita. So that's all we got for the wrestling wrap up. So with all that being said now, now with today being Friday, Friday, March the 20th, 2026, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. So let's see, we got 1956, 2021, 1946, and 1966. All right. So first off, we're going to head back 80 years ago, as on this day 80 years ago, back in 1946. back in 1946 here. Oops. The Warner Brothers Merry Melodies cartoon Hollywood Canine Canteen premiered in movie theaters on this date back in 19. Oh wait. Oh, they said April. Oops. Ah, did I misread that or? No, here they say poo. Oh well. Here they said it was March 20th, and then they say it's April 20th, so I don't know which date to go on there. So sorry about that. Should look a little closer when I did that. But anyways. So. All right. So anyways, that was stinky. Sometimes that's the headache of using Wikipedia. Sometimes like on one page they'll tell you one thing, and then on another page they'll tell you another thing. So you really have to like really double check and make sure that everything's in sync. Anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history, of course. Moving on to the year 1956, 70 years ago. On this date, 70 years ago, um, in 1956, the 10th issue of Cody of the Pony Express went on sale on this date back in 1956. It started out as Buffalo Bills and then became Cody. Then for a couple of issues here, it became Cody of the Pony Express, then eventually became Outlaws of the Rest. So on this date, back in 1956, 70 years ago today, Charlton's Cody, a 10th issue of Cody of the Pony Express, went on sale on this date back in 1956, of course, featuring Buffalo Bill, quite a few stories here. So now moving on to the next piece of niche history, and actually I'm gonna wish somebody a happy birthday, as I'd like to actually wish a happy 60th birthday to, as we will bring this individual's name up here in a moment. Happy 60th birthday to Kenji Kamiyama, who is a Japanese director and writer, best known for his work on Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. So, happy 60th birthday to Koji Kaneyama. There he is in 2023, right there. There's a picture right there from 2023, right there. So, just 3 years ago. The point he was 57, I believe, at that point. And finally, as we move ahead to the year 2021, as we talked about one person coming into this world on this date, we shall now talk about another one leaving this world on this date. As on this date back 5 years ago in 2021, Barry Orton of the famous Orton family in professional wrestling passed away on this date at the age of 62. Barry Orton, of course, is the son of Bob Orton Sr., the brother of Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., and the uncle of Randy Orton. Of course, he was a wrestler throughout the NWA territories in the late 70s and early 80s until of course he was blacklisted for basically coming out about the whole. He was a major part of the Ring Boy scandal in the WWF from the early 80s. That centered around certain WWE individuals, primarily Terry Garvin, supposedly soliciting sex from not only Orton himself, but from even young boys, unfortunately. So, with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we're back here on Sunday. This Sunday, of course, I'll be joined by Sabrina from Double Flyer Momentum, as we'll be continuing our trip down comics history lane, looking back at comics that went on sale in August of 1940. This Sunday, we'll be focusing in on Centaur, so we'll be reading, of course, some Amazing Man, some Arrow, the ICs, and introducing everybody to Super Spy 5Y8R. So, with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.